Clashes in Moscow as gay rights activists tried to hold an unofficial demonstration. They were attacked by a group of Russian nationalists who used pepper spray against the campaigners outside the city hall.
People will hurt you and
people are get acid burn.
Oh my God.
Someone threw acid on you?
Yeah, I get gunshots.
Really?
Yeah, recently, Monday.
Monday?
Yeah.
You know, we like to think that the world is making progress, that we're moving towards a brighter, more accepting future. But then you stumble across a stark reminder that for some people, simply existing as they are can be met with horrifying consequences. I'm talking about LGBTQ communities in parts of the world where being yourself can get you imprisoned, ostracized, or even killed. There are currently 64 countries where homosexuality is a crime. We'll be counting down the 10 worst offenders, shining a light on the brutal laws and the heart-wrenching stories of those living in fear. Buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Let's kick things off with Uganda. Uganda has recently instituted the death penalty for aggravated homosexuality. Real people are facing the very real possibility of being executed simply for who they love. It could be anything from having gay sex with someone HIV positive to simply being a repeat offender. Promoting homosexuality, like waving a rainbow flag, could get you 20 years behind bars. This law has been condemnation. The UN has called it a recipe for systematic violations of human rights. But the Ugandan government remains defiant, claiming it's about protecting their children and preserving traditional values. It's a truly horrifying situation, and it's a stark reminder that the fight for LGBTQ rights is far from over. But hey, at least it's not as bad as... Iran. When it comes to LGBTQ rights, Iran makes Uganda look like a gay pride parade. Homosexuality is not only illegal but punishable by death. Iran has executed thousands of people for homosexual acts since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. They have morality police who roam the streets looking for any signs of immoral behavior. If they suspect you might be gay, they can detain you, interrogate you, and even force you to undergo anal examinations. Families can also choose to carry out honor killings of LGBTQ relatives, and these murders often go unpunished. Imagine living with the constant fear that your own family could kill you just for being who you are. It's a truly chilling thought, and it paints a bleak picture of the reality for LGBTQ people in Iran. But as bad as things are in Iran, there's another country in the region that's arguably even worse. Saudi Arabia, the land of vast oil reserves, lavish palaces, and a complete and utter disregard for basic human rights. Homosexuality in Saudi Arabia is illegal. Punishments can range from public floggings to life in prison, and yes, even execution. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Saudi Arabia is a US ally, and you'd be right, they are. The truly messed up part is that there aren't even any specific laws outlining what constitutes a homosexual act. It's all left up to the interpretation of the religious police and the judges. Wearing a rainbow shirt? Suspicious. Liking a pro-LGBTQ post on social media? Straight to jail. Looking at another person with what they deem lustful intent? Well, you better hope you have a good lawyer. It's a system designed to instill fear and silence any form of dissent. LGBTQ people in Saudi Arabia are forced to live in the shadows, constantly looking over their shoulder, terrified of being outed and facing the brutal consequences. Let's talk about Yemen, a country currently embroiled in one of the worst humanitarian crises of our time. But, as if that wasn't bad enough, they've also decided to make life a living hell for their LGBTQ citizens. Homosexuality in Yemen is illegal and punishable by death. In Yemen, homosexuality is seen as a Western import, a threat to their traditional values. The reality is that LGBTQ people in Yemen, like everyone else in that war-torn country, are just trying to survive. They're trying to find food and shelter to avoid getting blown up by Saudi bombs. And on top of all that, they have to contend with the constant threat of persecution, arrest, and even death, simply for being who they are. It's a dire situation, and it highlights the intersection of war and persecution. Let's shift gears and head over to Nigeria, Africa's most populous country. Nigeria has a vibrant LGBTQ community, with activists and organizations working tirelessly to promote equality and acceptance. On the other hand, they have a law that can land you in prison for 14 years just for being gay. Nigerian prisons are not known for their five-star accommodations or their commitment to human rights, but it's not just the law you have to worry about in Nigeria. There's also the ever-present threat of violence from the general public. LGBTQ people are regularly harassed, assaulted, and even killed, often with little to no consequence for the perpetrators. It's a dangerous and often deadly reality for LGBTQ people in Nigeria. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to delve into the world of Somalia. Somalia is a predominantly Muslim country with a harsh interpretation of Islamic law when it comes to homosexuality. Same-sex relationships are not only illegal but can carry the death penalty. But it's not just the legal system that LGBTQ people in Somalia have to worry about. There's also the ever-present threat of violence from Al-Shabaab, the militant Islamist group. Al-Shabaab has been known to publicly execute people accused of homosexuality. Imagine living under the constant threat of violence, not only from the government but also from a powerful extremist group. That's the reality for LGBTQ people in Somalia. Let's talk about Sudan, a country that just recently emerged from the iron grip of Omar al-Bashir. Homosexuality remains illegal in Sudan, punishable by up to life in prison. While they haven't officially executed anyone for homosexuality in recent years, the threat always looms large. Sudan had a revolution, a glorious, inspiring uprising led by women and young people. But revolutions are messy and complicated affairs. Societal attitudes, particularly towards LGBTQ people, are much slower to change. Homophobia is deeply ingrained in Sudanese culture. Let's hop over to Pakistan, a country often caught in the crosshairs of its own complexities. On one hand, Pakistan boasts a constitution that guarantees fundamental rights to all its citizens. On the other hand, it's a country where deeply ingrained societal prejudices and a legal system create a perilous reality for LGBTQ individuals. Homosexuality is a criminal offense in Pakistan, a relic of the British colonial era. Societal attitudes, often shaped by conservative religious interpretations, play a significant role in perpetuating discrimination and violence. Families sometimes resort to so-called honor killings to cleanse their perceived shame. It's a complex and often heartbreaking situation in Pakistan. The fight for LGBTQ rights is a slow and arduous journey. Afghanistan. After the US withdrawal and the Taliban's swift return to power, things have gone from bad to downright dystopian. Under the Taliban's draconian interpretation of Islamic law, homosexuality is considered a grave sin punishable by death. The Taliban have a long history of persecuting, torturing, and murdering LGBTQ people. The Taliban's return has also emboldened hardline conservatives within Afghan society, creating an atmosphere of fear and repression that permeates every aspect of life. Imagine living in a country where simply being suspected of being gay could get you killed. It's a chilling thought, and it paints a bleak picture of the reality for LGBTQ people in Afghanistan. You might be surprised to find a Russian republic on this list, but scratch beneath the surface and you'll find a dark underbelly of homophobia, state-sanctioned violence, and a chilling disregard for human rights, particularly in the Chechen Republic. Chechnya is ruled by Ramzan Kadyrov, a brutal dictator with a deep-seated hatred for LGBTQ people. Under Kadyrov's rule, LGBTQ people are rounded up, detained in secret prisons, tortured, and often killed. Now you might be thinking, surely Putin wouldn't stand for this kind of barbarity happening under his watch. He'd just turn a blind eye and pretend it's not happening. Kadyrov is Putin's attack dog, a useful thug who keeps Chechnya under Moscow's control through fear and intimidation. As long as Kadyrov toes the Kremlin's line, Putin is more than happy to let him get away with a murder, literally. So there you have it. 10 countries where being LGBTQ isn't just difficult, it's downright dangerous. It's a stark reminder that the fight for equality is far from over, but we can't afford to give in to despair. Every story we tell, every voice we amplify, every act of solidarity, no matter how small, chips away at the wall of ignorance and fear. Because silence, as they say, is complicity, and we cannot, in good conscience, stand idly by while others suffer.